Hey, well, good morning, Bree. Good to see you. Good morning, Tia. We'll be starting here shortly. Just doing some pre-flight checks before I take this thing off this morning. So go ahead and put it in the chat room. How are you doing this morning on a scale of 1 to 10? 10 being exceptionally well. Go ahead and put the number in that represents how you're doing this morning so I can know how high I can take this flight this morning. Awesome. I got an 8 working this morning. Awesome. Awesome. Good. I'm right at a 9 this morning myself. Good. Give me a thumbs up if volume is coming across clear. Any adjustments I need to make before we get started this morning. Go ahead and put those in the chat room. For those of you joining this morning on the YouTube channel, welcome to Oasis Spiritual Center's YouTube channel. This is Saturday morning, Saturday school. I'm just going to drop in on you for about 20, 30 minutes at the max. This morning's lesson I want to deal with thou shalt not want. I'm waiting for the rest of my crew to arrive and my pilots so we can get out of here this morning. I'm going to take a short trip down to the Bahamas and just enjoy the rest of this weekend here in the Bahamas. Yes, Martin wants to know where I'm flying to. I'm going to the Bahamas. Happen to be one of my favorite places to visit. So I'm all set to go. Had a great breakfast. I see they already bought my cheesecake and my glass of sparkling. So I'm going to have a great flight this morning. So one thing you need to know as this flight prepares to take off, if we hit some rough weather and the airbags drop down, make sure you put it on yourself first. In the flight of life, you can't save anyone until you first save yourself. You're no good to anyone else traveling with you on this journey called life, except you're taking care of yourself. Awesome. All right. Coming in loud and clear. Well, let's get this party started. I'm gonna give about a 5-second count, and then I'm going to start. Well, good morning. Welcome to this morning's edition of Saturday School. I'm your host, your facilitator, Asar, also known as Greg Stanton. If you're joining in this morning in the Zoom room, thanks for coming in. If you're on the YouTube channel, Oasis Spiritual Center, thank you for joining this morning. Make sure you hit that subscribe button right there. Go ahead, hit that subscribe button right there, right now. Awesome. And throughout the course of this conversation this morning, make sure you make comments. If you're on YouTube, make those comments. I will circle back and visit those comments. If you're on the Zoom, make sure you're making your comments. If you're in the chat room, you can raise your hand and we can have some conversation. The way I'm gonna do this thing this morning, we're gonna take a short flight, so about 20 minutes, and then I'm going to land it. And after I land, before we deboard this morning or deplane the aircraft, if you want to have a brief conversation with me in the back room, that'll happen. For those of you who are just ready for this short flight, because you got to get to the destination, then we're going to be sensitive to that. We are right at the top of the hour, and let us just jump right on into this morning's conversation. Well, you've been with me on these past Saturdays. You know, the conversation has to do with prosperity. We're inside of the prosperity series. Yes, I'm talking about prosperity every Saturday because I like to keep this conversation hot. And if you're doing it inside of a traditional Sunday morning or a traditional church lesson, people have a tendency to say, all he talks about is prosperity and money. Well, isn't that what we really need to be talking about? But I'm sensitive to that. So I carve out some space where if you want to dive into a deeper conversation regarding prosperity and what prosperity is, what it looks like, how to experience it, how to magnetize yourself, that you can experience on a whole nother level, this is where you need to be each and every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. And if you are part of Oasis Spiritual Center for Divine Living, whether you are associate or a partner and you've joined, you will always get a email or some form of communication letting you know when I go live. And in addition to that, your assignments. So this morning, before I jump into this lesson that has to do with thou shall not want, just a few things I want you to do this week, and I'll circle back at the end and again recapitulate what I'm saying now. I want you to write down as specifically as you can what it is you desire to create. Notice I did not say what you want to create. So your assignment this week, one, is to write down specifically what it is you desire to create. Two, ask yourself, is there something even better than that? The third thing, what level of intention would it take for you to get it? That is, how much time, how much energy, how much commitment will you have to make in order for this thing to come into your experience? Fourth question I want you to answer is, what quality do you hope having this object, sum of money, or thing will help you express, such as peace of mind, aliveness, freedom, joy? Because we're gonna dive into that this morning, but I wanted to give you these questions. If you have to jump off early, this is what we're going to be talking about. Another question I want you to be able to answer this week is, I would like you to list several ways you can experience this quality right now. Whatever the quality that you're wanting or desiring to experience, what can you be doing right now to begin to express them and experience them? 6, what are the essences? We're going to talk about essences this morning. What are the essences that you expect this particular object or thing to give you? Many times the things that we desire is not necessarily the thing that we're desiring or the person we're desiring. It's the experience that comes with that, having that thing inside of our life or that person as part of our life. For instance, a new house may represent the desire for more space, sunlight, privacy, or a quieter environment. Now, when I created the condo in which I recently purchased, I'm almost coming up on a year. I didn't do some of these things. Like if I had to do it all over again, one of the things would be perfect lighting. I love light. So I got nice space, but I don't have the light that I desire. I have indirect light. And because I have indirect light, I can't maybe just film wherever I would like to in my house, because each part of my place has a different feel to it. And depending on that feel, I may want to present from that space. This morning, I wanted to present from a particular area of my home, but I found out I don't have the proper lighting. Now I can go out and purchase the lighting, but there's nothing like the natural light that I was hoping. So 7th thing I want you to do is ask yourself, are there alternative ways you might have these essences, the things that you are looking for? What other things would provide the essences of what you desire? So we're going to come back to those questions towards the end of this morning's presentation. Let me look at my time here to make sure that I'm keeping it tight. I want to jump off here in about 15 minutes. Now, the first thing you must do if you desire to live a prosperous life, if you desire to have wealth, if you desire to have happiness, if you desire to have joy, whatever it is you desire, you must know what it looks like. And not only what it looks like, if you can identify what it feels like, that's an essential part to magnetizing yourself to expedite that thing from coming to you from the invisible realm to the visible realm. Now, that's called creating. That's what this C stands for. It stands for creative being. It stands for creator. It stands for conscious. It stands for colored man. No, I'm joking with you this morning. So inside of this particular chapter, for those of you who don't know, I've been kind of taking some of the lessons from this particular book, Creating Money, Attracting Abundance. I've had this book for maybe 10 years. I got an extra copy on my shelf there. I noticed because I evidently had purchased it again. And the author is Sanaya Roman and Dwayne Packer. And so I'm unpacking this book, going through some of the chapters, not all of the chapters, but there's a chapter in this book entitled, it's chapter 3, Discovering What You Want. Now, this is what you have to be very conscious of. People write from a place at a particular time that reflects the consciousness, the awareness. And so even on today, when I read that title, 10 years ago, that title did not impact me. But this morning, when I read it, Discovering What You Want, automatically a bell went off in my spirit, and I identified it as the word want. I do not, if at all possible, I never use the word want as it relates to anything I desire, okay? And I'm gonna tell you why. I think it's the 23rd Psalm. It says, the Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. Okay, so that's a clear distinctive right there, that if God is your shepherd, your guide, you should not want. But now let me break that scripture down to you according to Oasis Spiritual Center for Divine Living, as we look at it from, explore it from a metaphysical perspective. I read it like this. The law is, now I use the word law anytime I see the word Lord. And the reason why I use the word law instead of Lord is because Lord in its original form dictates law. And now what we're talking about law, we're not talking about the 10 commandments. We are talking about the universal laws that are applicable to all individuals inside of this ecosystem called the Earth School. So, and one of the laws is there's the law of abundance, that all that we need, all that we desire is already in existence. The Kemetic science talks about the waters of Nun and Nunet, the waters of creation, where inside these waters, everything that is to come forward exists already. So there's no such thing as lack in the universe. Just because it's not up close and personal to you does not mean it's not in existence. Give you a good example. Anytime a demand is put on me, let's say someone may call me and say, like I had a friend recently called and ask, hey, Greg, can you lend me $200? Now, at the time of them asking me that, I had just made a major transaction out of my account. And so automatically I started to say, I don't have it, but my spirit checked me and I said, I don't have access to it. Now, I didn't feel bad about that. I wasn't lying, because I know all I need always shows up on demand, all I need. But because someone else needs it and asking me for it, I don't necessarily have the obligation to give it to them if I don't have access to it. And sometimes spirit does not allow you to have access to something because perhaps spirit or source is desiring that that person who is coming to you wants them to learn to go directly to the source. And so we have to begin to learn how to manage what it is we have. Some of you, under the sound of my voice, the very reason why you are living from just enough, because the Creator knows that if you have more than enough, that you will mismanagement. And what do I mean by mismanaging it? That is, you will rescue people. Now, sometimes when a person comes to you and asks you for something and you get the overflow and you get the clearing to give it to them. But then there may be times where source wants you to say, I don't have access to that, or say, I can't help you today. That's simple as that. And we have a hard time saying that. Now, I desire to help that person. And I started to say, hey, give me a couple of days. I know that this is going to be happening in my account, but Spirit told me to just pump the brakes. Someone I love dearly. And so I haven't heard back from them. So I assume that it was taken care of. And that person had the wherewithal to create from the same space that I create. Sometimes we get lazy. We get lazy and we only want to create or want cash to flow through our lives by way of our jobs, by way of individuals. So that's important. I don't have access to it is a much better vibration. Yes, I like that, Bree. See, and that's one thing. See how it feels. When you say I don't have, does this feel the same as I don't have access to? It's a different vibration. One is a vibration of lack, and the other is a vibration of positivity, of affluence. It's just saying it's not available to me right now. So they kick off this chapter by saying, you have many ideas about specific objects, sums of money, and other things that you desire to create. They use the word want. Some of these things you want can help you express your higher qualities more fully, and some may not. You may have experienced this when you got something you thought you wanted and didn't bring you satisfaction. Now, that's important. When we talk about manifestation, and we're going to talk about that probably next week, we're going to talk about magnetizing yourself. We got to be careful that we realize that your word is your wand. When you say, whatever you say is like saying abracadabra, or it's like saying open sesame. When you say, whatever you say is abracadabra, I create as I speak. Come on now. So if you are speaking the wrong things, then the wrong things are ultimately going to manifest in your life. Now, it's something that you really have to understand. The power of your word. The word tells us it's not what goes into your mouth. We live in a day and age where everybody's concerned about what you're eating. But I can tell you this, if you're eating something, even with the right mindset, that what you eat will not have the negative impact that it could have on you if you were not holding the right mindset. That's another conversation. But the word says it's not what goes in your mouth that defiles you, but it's what comes out of a man or a woman that defiles them. We know that our natural way of clearing our body of things, our natural exit, we have three primary exits on our body. We have our nostrils, which we exhale that which no longer serves us. We have our urinary tract that we use to release fluids that are taking the toxins out of our body. And then we have the anus, or our anal cavity, which secretes all of the things that no longer serves us, meaning all the nutrients have been taken out of what you have consumed with your mouth. And now what's exiting your body through that orifice is that which no longer serves you. Now we have a reverse mechanism, which is our mouths. What you speak comes out of your mouth, and that which comes out of your mouth defiles you. Many of us have spoken things that has, in all actuality, destroyed what we're looking to create. And so we got to make sure that what we say is consistent with what we are holding in intention. Now, that's very important, that what we are speaking is consistent with what we are desiring to experience. That's why you can't always be the weatherman. You can't always say what you are experiencing in reality. You can observe it, but you don't have to say it. Come on now, because when you say it, you are forecasting more of that in your life. You can create weather patterns, the environments that you want to live in, just by one, imagining it, two, by saying it. So many of us get more and more poverty because we speak poverty based on what we are seeing in our environments. I always encourage people, when you're feeling a low vibrational frequency, or when you are experiencing more of what I would call the frequency of poverty, get out of the frequency. And sometimes all you have to do is change your environment. Sometimes you can go to a place that represents opulence to you, and that will change your frequency. Because when you get into that environment, your internal self does not ask, do you own this? Does it belong to you? No, it experiences what you're experiencing. So if you're only experiencing poverty, that's why it's not good to even live in poverty. It's better to live in a place of opulence and have to almost struggle to stay there, because you're going to put a demand on the universe, and ultimately you're going to hit that sweet spot that you can live in that spot. But if you stay in poverty and try, or if you live in poverty, even with a prosperous mindset, if you are living in that, you have a greater chance of descending to that frequency. I know it for a fact. There was a point in my life, I told you guys, around 2010, I had a lot of money, but I was spending a lot of time in a zip code that had a frequency of poverty. And although I had everything I need, every day I was seeing poverty all around me. And what you seed into you ultimately affects your vibrational frequency. So some of you guys can shift today. If you're feeling broke, busted, and a little disgusted, put on a coat, put on some shoes, take a trip. Don't just take a trip in your mind to see what you might find, but get in your car, go to an opulent place, go to a place that makes you feel good, and bask in that frequency. We got to learn how to shift our frequencies. Now, that's why I say the Lord is your shepherd. Understanding the principles, practicing the principles. And if you understand the principles, they'll lead you, they'll be your shepherd, and you will not want, but here's what you will have: desires. And the word says that the Lord, God will, source will, give you the desires of your heart. Now, it's not a God out there, but the God that's in here expressing through you as you works in collaboration with you to bring into fruition, manifestation into your life, the thing desired. How do you know what you desire? One, you can look at your feeling state. Your energy, your feeling self tells you where you really are. It tells you if you're in fear. It tells you if you're in expectation. And many times if you speak an affirmation, but you still are feeling a low vibrational frequency, then guess what? That expectation does not have the transporter. It does not have the energy to ride on, the vibrational frequency to get or to attract what it is. Whatever you desire has a vibrational frequency. You got to ask yourself, am I a vibrational match to the thing that I am desiring? If you run in a poverty vibrational frequency and you desire something that is found on the frequency level of prosperity, you won't get it. Or if you happen upon it, you will not be able to maintain it. That's why so many people will hit the lottery, and within a short period of time, they will find themselves back at the frequency of poverty. It's like water. Water always rises or returns to its lowest point. Now, that means, example, if there's a flood come to a particular area, after a period of time, those flood waters are going to recede and go back to their what we call their operational frequency, or their levels. So there are some things we just have to learn. We have to learn things about spiritual practices, spiritual principles, because you can make the right investments, you can have the right money flowing into your life, but always feeling like I just don't have enough. And sometimes when I'm feeling like that, I begin to check out, where have I been hanging out at? What thoughts have I been thinking? What things have I been watching on TV? What things have I been listening to on the radio? Because all of those things change my channel, change my frequency. So the first thing I want you to do is discover what you desire. Okay. Now, once you discover, the biggest thing as a coach, I spend a lot of time helping individuals get clear, gain clarity. Example, I coach in the area of employment. I do a lot of career coaching. And when my clients show up, I oftentimes ask them, what is it that you're looking for? They look at me like I'm crazy, because I'm here for a job. I'm here for career coaching. But I want you to be specific. And then when I ask, what are you looking for? Oh, I just want a job. Oh, yeah. Okay. I got a job over here shoveling manure. Do you want that job? Oh, Doc, I don't want that job. So you have to get clear. because the universe only goes to work. You remember those old Maytag Man commercials? They were sitting around because it was implying that Maytags never break down. And because they never break down, those servicemen were just spending most of the time sitting around. The universe is the same way. It desires to respond to you. But for many of us, or in the old church, we would say we have angels who have assignments. But many of our angels are on no assignments because we're not putting a demand on them. So in the church language, is angels on assignments. I remember that book, real good book that says that each and every one of us have angels or messengers that are assigned to us that will help us or assist us in bringing into fruition the thing that we desire. So that's important. So once you are clear on what it is, so spend some time really getting clear on what it is you desire. All right, we're almost at the bottom of this hour, and I'm going to have to get ready to land this plane. So the one thing I want you to know is you need to know the essence of the thing you desire. Okay. Once you know the essence, you can get it. In this book, she says, by knowing the essence of what you desire, you make it possible to get it in many ways. You make it possible to get it in many ways because what you desire begins to desire you and is going to find a way to get to you. Okay, nothing can block it from getting to you when you are clear that you desire. If you desire it, it desires you. See, the things we desire are unlike us. We find ourselves standing around people that don't appreciate us and don't celebrate us, but Source does not send to you if you don't really desire it or if you don't appreciate it. That's why you got to have gratitude where you are. As you create something, I tell individuals, okay, you want to create. So inside this season of not having a job, inside this season of not having a man, inside of this season of not experiencing the thing that could potentially bring you happiness, peace, and joy, find gratitude. When I was in this dry season for a very long time, I found gratitude in knowing that God is supplied my need. Okay, I had a need to eat. I had food. I had shelter. Now, I was not eating the things that I would love to have eaten, but I ate those things that gave me the ability to go to sleep with a full belly. I lived in a space that protected me from the shelters. I had been accustomed all my life to having my own. After leaving my mom's and dad's, my family, my parents' home, I always had my own. But there was a season where I now found myself literally I was homeless, because this is the definition of homeless. If your name is not on that lease or that mortgage, you are homeless. Because at any period in time, things can go awry and somebody can tell you to get out. And so I didn't like being in a situation of having to depend on people. And sometimes your dependency on people is not so much a lesson for you, but it's a lesson for those who you perhaps are in their space. In most cases, there's always a lesson and there's always a blessing in getting a lesson. So I'm saying this to say you have to know the essence of what you desire and that you can get it. By knowing the essence of what you desire, you make it possible to get it in many ways. For instance, if the essence of what you desire from a new car is some more reliable transportation, you might be able to find many ways to create that besides buying a new car. You don't necessarily have to go and buy a car. Like if you've been accustomed to owning a home, automatically you think you got to buy a new home. No, you can't. Example, before I could afford $1 million homes, I lived in $1 million homes because I identified I want to live a certain way. I want to have a certain amount of space. I didn't put a limit on it based on I'm going to buy a home based on what I can afford. Never buy anything based on what you can afford. Buy that thing that satisfies the essence of what you want it for. So if you're in a situation where you are your money stream is not really that significant, it don't make sense for you to go buy the Mercedes. Perhaps renting, going and buying a pre-driven vehicle. Long as your goal right then is to have transportation. So you got to know, am I at a place I'm just looking for transportation, or am I at a place in my life where my essence is I don't want just transportation? Like there was a season I drove nothing but Mercedes, but then there was a season where in my own mind I knew I was going to make some gangster moves, so I sold my Mercedes that I own outright and was take this money, do. And then after I sold my Mercedes, while I was sitting there waiting for them to give me my check, the ink wasn't even dry on the paper. I heard Spirit say, "Dummy, look, how are you going to take something that you own free and clear, and in your own self say, I'm going to create something else by taking what I own, because I was dependent on myself." So I'm saying you really got to be very conscientious of the moves you make. Are you making moves that make good sense, or are you making moves that make God sense? Come on now. And so I'm saying the essence, understanding what is the essence. Example, if you want a relationship, then you go and some people tell you get very specific that you want a guy who's short, dark, and handsome. I know y'all used to saying tall, dark, and handsome, but here, so you get in your mind's eye, but you never ever think about what is the essence I'm really looking for. I'm looking for someone who is compassionate. I'm looking for someone who can communicate well. I'm looking for someone who can be a companion. So sometimes we look for things like, oh, I'm looking for security. I want a man to take care of me. Or I got some partners who they only deal with women who can take care of them. And there's a bunch of women that will take care of a man. Now, check this out. As a manifester, as a creator, you should not be entering into relationships based on security. Source is your security. Too many of us have been, or I've seen too many people in relationships only because they were dependent on that relationship with that human being to do the very thing that source. It says, source is my provider. Okay. And it provides to you in various ways. Tia says, Greg, what if my desires seem in contradiction with what I was taught my entire life? I love that, Tia. That's an awesome question. That's the $10 million question. Here's the answer to that. Part of getting clear is, first of all, identifying what you desire. And if you feel uncomfortable in desiring that thing, you want to ask yourself, why am I feeling uncomfortable? And a lot of times our uncomfortableness is because now you're desiring something that no one in your family group has ever experienced. And so you're going to have some conflict because you are seeing something that you've never experienced and no one in your family has experienced. And so our beliefs sometimes dictate for us, okay, example, you desire to be healed. And not necessarily you, Tia, but someone desires to be healed. But you've never seen anyone in your family stand on the word, be a practitioner of the word. Anytime anyone in your family has required some form of assistance medically, they ran to the medicine cabinet, or perhaps they ran to the doctor's office. And so you naturally have subscribed healing to the practitioners, the medical doctors, the people of sort. But then when you have the desire to be healed and you can't get to a doctor, then you find yourself up a creek without a paddle. So our beliefs also get in the way of whether or not we can get that thing to us. Belief system clarification is part of what I do as a spiritual coach. I help people not only create the life they want, first by desiring what they want, but we take some time looking at their belief systems. Once I know what it is you desire, now I'm going to look at you. One, why isn't this thing manifesting in your life currently or in the past? And a lot of it is tied to your beliefs, because the thing you desire today has always been in existence. But the reason why you're desiring it today is because source is saying you're ready for it. the Lord will give you the desires of your heart. So if you are desiring something right here, right now, it's because Source knows you're ready for it. Just because you're ready for it, don't mean you will get it. You're only going to get it when you're ready to do the work to bring it into manifestation. You might be ready for a meal. You got all the ingredients in your cabinets. You got some eggs, you got some bacon, you got some ham, you got some biscuits, or you got some flour, you got some shortening, you got some sugar, you got some milk. You got all the ingredients, but they are not put together. It's not until you get up and put it together as the chef will you have the meal you desire. Now, I'm using that as a metaphor. Everything you desire, all the ingredients already exist. You have to do the work to bring it into fruition. Some of the work can be expedited because what you used to have to do by waiting on time, now you can do it by using the microwave. Same principle in creating things. You can create with the speed of a microwave. Now, some people will tell you, we live in the right now generation because we're on the right now frequency. The reality is, if you know how to work the principles, all you need, all you desire actually exists right now. It's just you have a difficult time bringing it from the unseen to the seen world, or you operating from the seen trying to get the unseen. If you operate from the seen trying to get the unseen, the things you're seeing will never come into your fruition. But you got to operate from the unseen and bring it to the seen. And you bring it to the seen, you bring the unseen to the SCENE by imagination, by holding it in imagination. Now, we're right on the bottom of the hour, and I want to just wrap this part of the conversation up with saying this to you. The Lord is your shepherd, you should not want. The law is your guide. You should not, it gives you all you desire. It leads you to your desire. So that's the thought I want you to hold this week. I want you to begin to first get clear on what is it that I desire. And then you want to ask yourself, what is the essence behind the thing I desire? That is, like if you want a new car, do you just want transportation? Or are you at the point now where you don't want just transportation, you want a stunner? I mean, you want to be able to drive up in something that stun folk, okay? See, I know at the place I'm at as a creator that whatever I buy, whatever I purchase, I don't purchase in most cases just to have it. I purchase what I purchase because of the intent it has, the ability to create. When I pull up in my Mercedes, I get a different reaction than if I was pulling up in my old Hyundai, even though my Hyundai was brand new that I had a few years ago. But when I pull up in a Mercedes, even if it's an older model Mercedes, you get a different response. That's like when I go to do business, especially here in St. Louis, I make sure I wear a jacket, a suit jacket, a nice shirt, and I do purposely wear my ball caps. One, because all of a sudden it breaks the ice. They be like, "Wait, I don't do business with Cubs fans," and we laugh about it. And I tell them it's a conscious hat, it's a creator's hat, and then they laugh at that. Then I say this is the new brand for the Cardinals, and they just I diffuse them. So now they're not dealing with a black man. And then when I pull up, like I was doing some business in a hotel, and I made it my purpose to pull up to valet. Okay. And because when you pull up to valet, one, they're going to valet your car, and two, they don't know who you are. But if I would have just walked up to the building, now I had to kind of do some things to let them know that I was a different breed that they're dealing with. Now, I'm telling you guys how to be successful on a whole nother level. An image is worth 1,000 words. You can never change the first impression, or it takes a lot of time, and sometimes you won't get an opportunity to make a second impression. So whatever you're purchasing, know the essence of that purchase. Sometimes, like if you're carrying a Gucci bag, are you just carrying a Gucci bag because everybody's carrying Gucci? No, it should have an intention behind, not just that you want to fit in, but that because I hang around people that do business on the level of Gucci. Now, other thing you get to learn is that wealthy people sometimes don't show up with Gucci bags. They'll show up with a nice pair of loafers on. They'll show up with a nice, simple pair of jeans on, a nice shirt, but the vibrational frequency about them says money. But we have a lot of people who are doing the outside thing, like purchasing the Gucci bags, the Armani suits, the Burberry ties. Like you might notice, I wear them, and I wear them for a reason. So when a person see me, because where I'm doing business at, so a person in the hood may just think that's a fashion statement, but a person in a business meeting, no, that's a financial statement. So when I ask for top dollar, they're going to look at me and say, it matches his frequency. If you show up looking like a bum, broke, busted, or disgusted, and try to ask for more than, they're going to look at you like, no, you don't have the frequency for that. I hope you got something out of that. I hope you got something out of that. But I want you to leave with this. If you don't know the essence of what you desire, you may buy a new car that is just as unreliable as the one you have, meaning it won't be fulfilling. Like when you go to a restaurant, and I'm wrapping with this. I love food. I am an eatitarian. I eat just about everything. The only thing that I know I don't eat is dressing. Y'all look at me like, oh no, Doc, you don't eat dressing? I don't eat dressing. I don't like it. My mom makes great dressing from everybody. 99% of the people that I know that eat at my mom's house and like my mom's dressing will attest to it. The 1% is me. I'm the fly in the ointment. So I don't ever say anything around my mom about dressing. But I had to sit at the table hours on end. You know, you probably have a parent like that will tell you, you ain't getting up until you eat it. And I'd be gagging. But when I grew up, I said, I wasn't eating dressing. I just don't like it. I love cornbread. I don't like dressing. And people try to say, Doc, well, maybe your mom didn't make it right. I don't like dressing. I don't care if you make it different than my mom. In my mind, I don't like dressing, period. So you got to know what you don't like, and you got to know what you like. Okay? Create from the space of what it is you like. Now, that's all I have today. We are right at the bottom of the hour, a little bit beyond the bottom of the hour. I hope something has been said that's been uplifting and encouraging to you. You can have what you desire, and what you desire desires you. You create it. You are the manifester, the man that brings the manifestation. That's why you call man, because you're a manufacturer. Come on now, creating his image after his likeness. That's all I have. Have a wonderful day. Peace. All right, don't go nowhere. That was just a closing for the edit. So while I'm doing my lives, I'm also mindful of the edit, and I do certain things that make it easier for me to edit these before I send them up to YouTube. So if you're in the green room this morning, before we get started into the conversation, for those who want to stick around for a few minutes, for those who got to get down and get out, okay, the plane has come to we've landed the plane. The steward is at the back of the plane. The flight attendant is helping those off that need to get off. Those who want to relax here in the cabin for a few minutes and have a conversation, I'm here for. Before we get started, those of you who have found this message a blessing to you, you can click the like, you can share it. In addition to that, if you want to be a blessing to the ministry, you can go to oasisspiritualcenter.com. You can go there and you'll find under the giving tab all the different ways in which you can use. There's one there that fits you. And if you go there, sow a seed, not because we have a need or neither because of greed. You sow a seed because you know sowing is part of the law of circulation. Give into the fertile places. And guess what? The same thing you do to others is the same thing that'll be done to you. Awesome. Let me go through here and see what kind of questions I had inside the chat. Myrna said, good stuff. Tia said, that explains why I drew hate for my mink from an employer. All right. This is a word. Good. It makes God sense. That's right. Belief system clarification. I say, Bree stated, say that water rises to the highest or returns to its lowest frequency. Yes. Water rises to a higher, how high a water rises is dictated by the container, but water always returns to its lowest source. Come on now. And we always return to our lowest frequency. Here's for the women out there. You're at this nice event. You meet this wonderful guy. And in this event that you meet this guy, you guys have wonderful conversation. You decide to connect with each other a couple of days later. A few days later, you guys meet. He does not have the same frequency. You don't get the same vibration from him. One, because he was in your environment, and now you're in his environment. We don't understand that we raise our frequencies, but we also have a frequency that we operate at. Just because you're out at a nice place or meet someone out at a nice place with their favorite suit on, doesn't mean that that person holds that vibration all the time. And sometimes we get in relationships with people who want to be in relationship with you at that vibrational frequency, but they can't maintain it. And ultimately, either you're going to bring your frequency down to their level, or they're going to drop from your level and you guys are going to split up. You're going to have a lot of disharmony because you operate on two different frequencies. And then we try to stay in relationships where there's no frequency match. And guess what? We end up killing ourselves. If there's not a frequency match, get out of it. If the frequency match is only for a moment, enjoy that moment. I don't know who that's for. That's for somebody. Awesome. Is there any questions out there? Okay, if you got a question, you can raise your hand. I'll bring you in. If you want to come on screen, I'll share my screen with you. Let me put this in the gallery view. Good. Awesome. Let me see here. Awesome. It doesn't look like we have any questions. That means I've done a bang up job. I've done a great job, meaning you are able to walk away this morning with a takeaway that can be put to practice immediately. All right. So, okay, 2 new messages here. Okay, thanks for that. The name of the book again. The name of the book is Creating Money. Bye-bye. There it is. Creating Money, Attracting Abundance by Sanaya Roman and Dwayne Packer. This step-by-step guide to creating money and abundance was given to Sanaya and Dwayne by their guides, Oren and Dabin. These wise and gentle spirits teachers have successfully helped thousands to manifest prosperity and create their lives work using the simple process contained in this book. You can see immediate results in your life when you learn to follow the spiritual laws of money and abundance, develop unlimited thinking, listen to your inner guidance, use advanced manifesting techniques, create your life's work, transform your beliefs, magnetize and draw to you what you desire. Come on now. That's why you are tuned into Oasis Spiritual Center for Divine Living. You not only have someone who is adverse or well-versed in spiritual matters, but psychological matters, human and personal development. So I try to put it all together and I offer it to you right here at Oasis Spiritual Center for Divine Living. Peace and blessings. All right, it's Saturday morning. And it's the top of the month, first of the month, people getting out there, getting it in. Enjoy yourself. Hopefully you got some time tomorrow. You can tune in at 9 a.m. Central Standard Time to Serendipity Sunday. I would look forward to engaging you. Serendipity means something good and unexpected. So if I told you what it's going to be about, guess what? It won't be serendipity. So join me tomorrow. Peace. Trying to reach me? You can reach me at 708-544-4946, or you can simply go to my website, oasisspiritualcenter.com. If anything to do with the ministry, if you're looking for maybe getting some coaching, you can go to the website Solutions, SOUL, like soul, solutionsforliving.com. All one word, solutions, SOULTIONSFORLIVING.com. Poke around out there and come on out and join me. All right. Have a great day, guys. I got some things to do. Peace. All right. Peace. Take care.